Let's get into the action from this weekend. We're going to talk some Spurs coming up. We'll talk some relegation action as well. But tomorrow afternoon here, UK time, 12:30 on the East Coast, Man City, Brentford. Man City have to win this game, essentially, if they want to still be in the title race. But they go up against a Brentford team in some sensational form, Master.
Yeah, Brentford team that has been in good form and also competing and contending for a Champions League spot. So this is going to be a very, very tough 3 matches for Manchester City. Facing Brentford, you've got the FA Cup final, and then after that, you got a quick turnaround away at Bournemouth, who is also competing for a Champions League spot. So for them to come off of that Everton match on Monday, dropping points, it puts them a bit behind the 8 ball, where maybe the conversation no longer is about goal differential and more so can City, with a much more challenging fixture schedule compared to Arsenal in the run-in, can they keep up with Arsenal at this point? And I think they'll be motivated. I think what happened on Monday, as much as they were able to salvage a point, it was a very disappointing performance from their back line, giving up 3 goals to Everton, who also is fighting for a European spot. A lot of things are on the line for a lot of these teams that they'll be facing. So, but I would expect City to bounce back. I would expect City to have a good performance. I would expect City to find a way to get a win here.
I misspoke slightly. I said Brentford were in fine form. I was actually thinking of Bournemouth being in fine form.
Yeah, Bournemouth, yeah. And then they also, I think I misspoke too. They play Palace as well in between Bournemouth. But it's a very congested fixture schedule that Manchester City has right now. And they're playing a lot of teams that are playing for something right now.
Brentford only 1 win in the last 7, but they were tipped to go down by so many people at the start of this season.
I thought they were.
They lose their manager. They lose a bunch of stars players. And now they could qualify for Europe. And not just for Europe. They could qualify for the Champions League if Villa win the UEFA Cup and finish 5th. Sorry, the Europa League. And finish 5th.
Do you want to break that down for those that don't know how that schedule is breaking up? Because with Villa now in the Europa League final and also being in 5th, that it does change the calculations a bit, doesn't it?
It not just changes the calculations, it throws up a potentially fascinating situation on the final day of the season because, okay, the basics of it, because of the European coefficient, and it was confirmed overnight, we are going to be the top in that European coefficient, and so there will be 5 places in the Champions League for the top 5 finishers in the Premier League. Yeah, the computer going, I've got the brain calculator going on. It means 5 places, but because the winners of the Europa League get a place in the Champions League, the way that it falls is odd. If Villa finish 4th, then 5th place get Champions League. We get 5 teams in the Champions League. If they win the Europa League, doesn't matter. They'll get a Champions League place either way. But if Villa finish 5th, and because they won't have to go into the qualification period because they'll have won the Europa League, 6th place in the Premier League also gets a Champions League place, and we end up with 6 teams in the Champions League, which is in itself madness.
Can you say it again, Stats Nerd? I lost track there in between the beep boop, beep boop.
No, but what's really fun about this, amongst all the beep boop, what's really wild about this is what could happen on the final day of the season. Say Brentford beat Man City this weekend, a result that the Arsenal fan opposite me will be looking for, and they get to a point where going into the final day of the season, Brentford are already guaranteed 6th place. They're 4 points clear of Bournemouth, Brighton, whoever else. Villa are in 5th. They've already won the Europa League because that's before the final day of the season. Yep. You're adding all this up.
I'm taking some notes. Hold on, let me...
Brentford could be in a position where when they go to Anfield on the final day of the season, they need to lose in order to qualify for the Champions League because they need Liverpool to pull clear of Villa. They're already guaranteed 6th. And so actually, it could be a little bit of a, Euros, we need a draw at the end of the group stage to qualify situation where Brentford could turn up at Anfield and go, oh, it's Mo Salah's last game. We're going to play a bunch of 17-year-olds. We're going to have no attempt at attacking a goal. And we are just going to go, come at us. We need to lose here so that Villa can't finish 4th. And so we qualify for the Champions League. That's wild. That's madness.
That is insane. And the simple fact that you could have 6 teams in because of this format that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. I tuned out the last 3 minutes of what you said because I'm trying to keep up with this. I'm trying to keep up with it, but it's just it's very complicated. Complicado, as we've had a lot of Spanish talk on here. It's mucho complicado.
I like Brentford to push Man City this weekend as much as their form is poor. That's what I will say. One of the most dangerous counter-attacking sides by numbers. Let's do some more nerdiness. By numbers, they are one of the best counter-attacking sides in Europe. 56 fast breaks, more than any other team in the league, which have created 48 shots and 9 goals in transition. Like, they are the best counter-attacking side in the Premier League.
Give a go,
in the Premier League. And whilst I know that Man City are potentially with Pep Guardiola, they don't have to press. They don't necessarily have to be a high press and push the line up. They can hold the ball and play possession. If they do press, if they find the game tight late on and they know that they need to go for 3 points, if they know, no, I'm not doing it. If they know they need to go for the win, if they know they need the 3 points to have any chance of catching Arsenal, and this game's tight late on, I'm just saying, Brentford, the best counter-attacking team in the Premier League, hits them on the break, winner in the 93rd minute, the whole of the away end of the Etihad goes absolutely mad, and North London is on fire because Arsenal have all but claimed the Premier League title without even playing this weekend. That's where we could be.
That would be a dream scenario. Somehow I'm being the realist here. Well, you sound like you're the Arsenal fan that has been celebrating all week long. I don't see it happening. I think City finds a way to pull this off. You talked about the table. Brentford right now 7th, only a point behind Bournemouth, currently at 52 points. You got Brighton in the mix as well. Brighton has a really favorable schedule down the stretch. It's going to be hard for me to see Brighton dropping any points as they got Wolves this weekend. And then you got Chelsea, which is the mid-table billionaires, as I like to describe them. They're in the mix as well, potentially for that 6th spot and getting a Champions League spot. I mean,
if we're talking about teams who are potentially in line for the 6th spot mathematically, you can drop down to Newcastle, to Palace. Like, these teams Fulham can still qualify for the Champions League right now.
Plays Bournemouth over the weekend. That's going to be a huge match to sort out not only just Champions League, but also Europa and Conference League, as we've seen this week, yesterday. The Premier League teams that get into Europa and Conference League is a great opportunity for them as well. For someone like a Fulham, someone like an Everton, these are great opportunities for them to play European football and build off of the success they've had.
Imagine those Fulham fans who, after that performance last weekend, were absolutely burying their team, were saying that they've lost the fight. Marco Silva's probably going to leave at the end of the season. The team building's been terrible, killing the Khan family left, right and centre. And if they win this weekend, they're like, oh, we're only 3 points off the Champions League places. Like, it's a genuine, realistic situation. Of course, if, as we probably expect, City do manage to get the result, you know, they are a team who, for the most part, as much as they didn't last weekend, for the most part, get a result when they need one. It means that Arsenal-West Ham on Sunday is ginormous.
Yeah.
Spurs play on Monday night again, playing after West Ham for the 2nd straight week, which gives them that little bit of an advantage of already knowing what's in front of them. Is there any world where West Ham takes something off Arsenal at the London Stadium?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I wasn't expecting that. I was thinking Master was going to go full optimistic American. We're going to absolutely trounce them.
This is the most nervous match on the schedule in the Premier League. This one, you can easily see a potential letdown performance considering how much we've celebrated all week. And needing to turn the page from a very emotional moment in the club's history of making it to the Champions League final for the 2nd time and having to do a turnaround and facing a London derby with West Ham and West Ham battling for relegation.
Did you watch West Ham play last weekend?
I did not.
It wasn't great.
Yeah, I watched a bit of it, but I understand that part. They were playing well before that point. You just being at home, knowing the fans are going to be behind them, as I'm sure Sam will be as well.
Mm-hmm. One of his 2 teams.
Yes, we won't talk about the other one. West Ham's going to be up for this one. They know they're going to give it their all. The fans are going to give it their all. An opportunity to squander Arsenal's chances at a Premier League trophy while also being able to maintain and stay within close range of Tottenham. I would expect West Ham to give one of their best performances this season. This weekend. Arsenal's not. It's hard for me to think Arsenal's going to batter West Ham in the same way they did to Fulham. I do not see that result happening.
Yeah, it's that theory of there are 40 points and 17 places between these teams. In theory, a team that have just reached the Champions League final, contending for the title, you should walk into East London and walk away with
I wish.
I just think this is going to be as much as I talked about this last night. So maybe I'm cursing you with a with the Will Gavin tar brush here.
Voodoo?
But it's going to be about the temperament as much as it is about the quality on the field. It's going to be about them resetting themselves after a magical night on Tuesday and being like, right, there's a job to do, 4 games to win, to go and win the 2 biggest trophies you can win if you're in English football. It does bring an interesting question, because we'll ask Sam about this coming up shortly, about the West Hamness of it and how they're feeling about it, and like, do they care about taking points off Arsenal, or is this just all about survival for them? Because, and I want to just send a little message to Tottenham fans right now, because I've been watching a lot of talkSPORT over recent days, hearing the phone-ins, and there's been a surprise cockiness coming out of the white half of North London of people seeing back-to-back wins in the West Midlands, first time of back-to-back wins since the start of the season, and saying, do you know what? We've got it in our own hands at this point. We believe that we can go and win our final 3 games. And so wouldn't it be great if West Ham took a point off Arsenal? If it would be even better if they beat Arsenal. That was what some of the callers were saying, calling into talkSPORT. And I just want to say, as much as everyone wanted to slate you for wanting Man City to beat you at Tottenham last year, and I kind of sympathised with that a little bit, because you had nothing to play for, because you were at that point saying, do you know what? To us, it's funnier for Arsenal to lose the title. It's better for our bragging rights for Arsenal to lose the title than it is for us to finish, one place different in the Premier League when we're not involved in the European conversation, right? You are fighting for your Premier League survival. You are, every point that is lost by West Ham or picked up by you is another point towards you not being relegated to the Championship, not being relegated to the second tier for the first time since 1972 and for the first time in the Premier League era. Don't be stupid. Stop trying to back West Ham to get a point at Arsenal this weekend. Ignore what the other half of North London are doing and accept that they might win a double. They might brag. They might gloat. They might do all of those things. But if you've survived in the Premier League, at least they haven't completed that treble, and at least you get to move on and try and beat them next season instead of having to just watch them lord it over everyone, knowing you're not even going to get to face them next year. Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre to me.
What more would you expect from Tottenham fans?
Just who we are.
That's par for the course. But this is the reality they got to deal with. Either they get relegated, and Arsenal fans...
You don't have to root for Arsenal. You don't have to wear a jersey. You don't have to
hear me out,
go to the pub and cheer if they score. You don't have to do any of those things. But quietly, in the shame of your own home if it needs to be, just be happy if Arsenal take 3 points.
Hear me out. If Tottenham get relegated, Arsenal fans will be happy. If they don't get relegated, a huge reason would be because Arsenal took 3 points from West Ham this weekend. And Arsenal will have bragging rights over their salvation. Their reason of being still in the Premier League will be, we will take every single credit for that. So,
as far as saying it's a win-win for Arsenal fans.
It is a win-win for Arsenal fans. If Tottenham get relegated, there will be another parade probably being thrown for that. If they don't,
and for whatever trophy you win, and then the 1st of June you'll throw the Tottenham relegation.
It'd be like Mardi Gras in New Orleans. You're like, oh, there's another parade. Yeah, it's Lundi Gras.
Just who we are, man.
You know, you got the Treme. You know, that's how it would be. But if Tottenham stays up, which there is only a point difference between Tottenham and West Ham at this point. West Ham at 36 points, Tottenham at 37. Huge goal differential advantage that Tottenham does have. If West Ham drops 3 points this weekend, I don't want to say it's guaranteed, but Tottenham will be in a great position of staying up. And we will hold that over you all season long.
And just one final
I hope someone makes a chance about that.
Just one final thing for those Spurs fans as well. If West Ham did get a point this weekend and you were forced to win, I totally get that. But think about it this way. If West Ham lose on Sunday and you get any kind of result on Monday night, you go to Stamford Bridge knowing that maybe even a point, certainly 3 points, would keep you in the Premier League. Imagine those bragging rights. Yes, Arsenal would have the bragging rights over you, but you would be able to go to Chelsea and say, we got to stay up. It's funny because Chelsea fans care a lot about the idea they could relegate them at Stamford Bridge.
I'm sure they do, absolutely.
So Tottenham, imagine staying up at Stamford Bridge. It's a very small crumb in a very horrible season, but it would be lovely, wouldn't it, for you as a fan base to at least get one over on one of your London rivals while the other one are lauding it from on high, as they will be potentially come the end of the season, unless they choke, unless they bowl, which
Tottenham
is, of course,
essentially
a possibility.
The friend that you have that's in 10 different fantasy leagues. they're rooting for their players, but they're also going up against the same players, and you find yourself in a very contradicting, oxymoron type of position that I was just enjoy as they are suffering emotionally the highs and lows of this run-in. It will be beautiful to watch. So However it plays out, I will be happy and there will be a smile on my face because Arsenal will win the double.